Well, it's 9:30 a.m. in the morning and I just reached office. When I'm heading to the office to the left, I look around and see like someone is watching me. And like everywhere it is watching me. And it is watching you all everywhere. Like if you're heading to office, walking down the streets, or just going to college, anywhere, your home, everywhere, like everywhere. And do you know who is watching me? The CCTV. So the CCTV is watching you everywhere and capturing your move. So what if I told you like those cameras are sending out some of your data that you didn't agree to? We were talking about new technologies and everything. Like we would be thinking, yeah, CCTV is a new technology. The data or the videos will not be leaked. But what happens when the old cameras or the CCTV cameras are already installed into homes or the old buildings, right? Who's monitoring the videos and who's the monitor? So to answer all of these questions, I, Aarti Raghav, sat down with Kunal Bhogal, COO, Chief Operating Officer of IIRIS Consulting, to have an insightful conversation about the surveillance in a new age. So let's welcome Kunal Bhogal here. So I recently read an article on Reuters, like how the CCTV brands might be used for stealing and spying the sensitive information. So what's your take on this? Like, is this something like we should be worried about?
Yeah, we absolutely should be worried, but this is not something new. Snooping, spying, privacy invasion, whatever you want to call it, a lot of terms. This has been there right from the start of technology, I would say, and right to the start of cameras or anything that a human interacts with. This was brought to light more than 2 decades ago, and slowly and steadily, this has been playing such an active role in our life, and it's only ever increasing. So yes, we don't have to be scared of it, but we have to be aware of the implications. Does that answer your question?
Yes, truly. So, I didn't know about basics of CCTV or just a little about the CCTV, right? So, someone like me, like, what are the signs like we should be aware about, and what are the red flags that we should be watching out for?
You mean red flags for?
So, red flags is like, is there signs that the camera system is looking safe, but it is not?
Okay, so while looking at the camera, you can't figure out red flags.
Yes.
It all happens at the time when you're buying them, or at least when you're specifying them.
Okay.
What you have to bear in mind is pick up suppliers which are very well reputed in the market. The ones which are very well reputed, they obviously come at a little higher price and premium price, but they offer premium features or privacy as well. So that is number one. You need to know where you are sourcing your equipment from. And number two would be you have to see how much equipment are you using for your project. If you have more cameras than you actually need, and those cameras are snooping everywhere. So there has to be a right balance between the level of technology or the amount of technology that we require vis-a-vis your project requirements.
That's right. So I know, like, I research about you, like you have been working with some of the big government projects, right? So is there any spying concerns make your work a little tougher in any of the way?
Yes, now it is getting tougher because most of surveillance or security as such, it requires a lot of IT in the background. So because there is IT, it's always exposed, vulnerable. So there's an added level of security that we need to be, right? And that level of security is called operational security, and so it's a subset of IT security. So everything that we're talking, which is so physical in nature, including the laptop, including the phones that we use, they have a lot of back-end technologies which are supporting it. So those have to be equally strengthened, both for their cyber as well as their information security posture.
Correct. Yes, I do agree. So, like the Indian government is asking the CCTV vendors to submit their hardware and some of the software for testing. Likewise, Indian government has asked China for the same. So, like in your opinion, is this enough strong step to stop any of the spying risk?
It's definitely going in the right direction. I mean, we quite welcome the government's step in this direction, directing the industry to conform to a certain standard. In the West, this is a practice. Governments do that every 2-3 years, depending upon their posture. This is the first time, at least for security system, that we have it in our country. And before this, there have been certain guidelines which basically dictate compliance to the build quality and so on and so forth. But this is the first time wherein the focus is privacy and cyber assurance. So we quite welcome this, but what this could also do is it maybe for the time being might limit the access of these cameras for public and for industry, because there are only a handful of vendors who have been qualified. It's a process, and that process could take a little time, but it's definitely going in the right direction.
Yes, I hope for the same, right? And one more question, like with almost every Indian cities and installing about the CCTVs and working on the surveillance, right? So, is there like we should be more concerned, like who is putting up those cameras or the CCTVs and how the footage is being used for?
Yes, absolutely. So a big part of privacy is how equipment is installed, by whom is it installed, and how it is being commissioned. One is installation, the second is commissioned. The cameras that you should install, they should not look beyond their means or look beyond their field of view, and that's where privacy issue comes. Also, there is a saying in the industry that 8 out of 10 projects are never commissioned the right way. When I say commissioned, they are not installed and made to go live as per what it was intended for. Either it is doing less or it's not meeting the expectation. So whenever we advise on such projects, whenever we advise on such aspects, we always look at who's installing them, who's qualified to install them, who's qualified to operate them, and if these technologies themselves have anything that is snooping. There could be malicious, code in them, or malware, or spyware of all sorts. So that's a big part of what the government's strategy is to curb those aspects.
So yes, we are clearly moving more to more surveillance, right?
There will be more surveillance, of course. There will be more surveillance, and more surveillance is actually very good. It gets people in line. But with more surveillance, you have more density of equipment. When you have more density of equipment, you are literally having infrastructure and cables and wires flying everywhere. So that itself makes it more vulnerable.
Yes. So based on the incidents like we are having in India, what's just going around in India, like what India should learn about it and how we should do something different to make India a better place in terms of the surveillance.
So I think first and foremost, I think the country definitely requires a uniform code of practice for surveillance across the board. Okay. We have that in bits and pieces for various industries. There are industry specific, region specific code of practice, but we don't have like a be all end all uniform code for the entire country. And that is something that is absolutely need to be out. The second is the surveillance infrastructure or the surveillance systems. They need to speak to the 100 or 112 helpline numbers that we have nationwide. I mean, this is a very standard practice outside of our country, but I think from an infrastructure standpoint and from a strategy standpoint, we need to have that also coming in. So in case there's an incident that has happened on ground and somebody has made a phone call, you are able to quickly see for better situational awareness what is happening on ground by having these electronic eyes to see that's happening.
Correct. So likewise, everything is going on networks. Like either we have a phone or everything is on network. So similarly, cameras are also belonging into complete networks, right? So is it more risky?
I mean, anything that you bring onto a network makes it really more vulnerable than its default state. But then this is where you strengthening your governance, your infrastructure, your compliance levels, and basically improving your ante comes in. While you are getting more connected, it is also that you are encompassing this entire infrastructure and the responsibility to make it more secure. So I think with more technology, there's always more responsibility.
Yes. So I guess people will not be moving to the offline camera right before and moving to networks.
No, not really. In fact, that's a very interesting point that you brought. Traditionally, we've been saying digital and IP is Internet Protocol. So IP is in, but the analog technologies are not dead. In fact, in a lot of use cases, we still advise to do analog, because analog will be able to deliver very high quality data or high quality video in our case, and make and make the requirement met without too much exposure, without too much technology.
So, MasterCard has been asked by the India to move its servers to India. So, likewise, will it be a time come when India would be asking the CCTV vendors or the companies to move their servers completely to India?
So, truth be told, in India, cloud-based surveillance market is very small. Okay, it's less than 1% of the total revenue that CCTV makes. Or the size of the CCTV industry, but it has the potential to grow because the home environment is growing. The CCTV for home, and for them it makes more sense to store their data, their video on the cloud. So that will improve and increase over a period of time. And while on the enterprise level, and some sporadic cases, it's still happening. But yes, you will certainly see that video on cloud will become a mainstream feature and a mainstream demand. And that's when we will suddenly wake up to the fact that there is an obscene amount of data that is going to the cloud, and that needs to be well within our borders. So yes, that will happen at some time.
So I guess you have answered my questions and the audience questions as well. So yes, and you are making India a very better place to live.
We hope
with
we're doing our best.
Right. Yeah. And congratulations for that as well. So it was a pleasure to be here and having an insightful conversation with you. So all the best for the segments.
Thank you very much, and all the best to you.